Hey, what's the word, everyone? So, it's October, so you know what that means. That's right, Halloween is just around the corner, so it is treats and treat season. Normally that would mean sitting around in the dark and playing survival horror games leading up to Halloween. However, I got a little bit of a confession to make. I don't handle horror games all that well. Now, don't get me wrong, horror movies I have no problem with. In fact, I can handle them pretty well. It's when you put a controller in my hand and I'm being chased by something, yeah, that tends not to look all that pretty. Eventually, I'd like to be able to beat Resident Evil and Silent Hill and all the other horror games I keep adding to my backlog. But for the time being, I tend to stick to games that are a little bit more colorful.
Black and white's a color too.
But what happens when said games tend to go for a more scary twist to them? That's what we're going to find out today. So, let's take a dive. In no particular order, 3 non-horror games that totally scared me. Let's start with Rayman, aka the underappreciated platformer series that brought us this commercial. What? Developed by Ubisoft Montpellier, the first Rayman game was released on the Atari Jaguar and Sony PlayStation on September 1995. And despite its crazy difficulty, was still well received, most likely due to its colorful and bright graphics. But let's jump into the sequel, Rayman 2: The Great Escape, which brings our limitless lead into 3D. For a sequel, you'd expect them to carry the same tone as the previous game, just bringing along the Z-axis. You'd expect that, but boy, Ubisoft had some other ideas because they decided to go into an entirely different direction for this game. Now, even though it's still a 3D platformer for all ages, this game is bleak. Like, for example, you open up the game with a narrator saying that the world is dying, all your friends are captured, and even the title character himself is captured. This is very depressing, and you really get a sense of how badly the robo-pirates messed up this world. Speaking of a messed up world, there is some creepy stuff in Rayman 2. There's a lot that we can go over, but the one that I want to focus on is on Jano, aka the Guardian of Bad Dreams, aka Mike Wazowski's weird brother that no one talks about during the holidays. First, let's talk about his voice. And by that I mean his original voice, not his English voice that sounds.
You have defeated me. My treasure belongs to you.
Ugh. Gosh, just hearing that just sounds so creepy and disturbing. Ugh, that voice just sends shivers down my spine. Literally, you could just take the audio of his voice, put it on top of any scary game, and it would not seem out of place. That's how messed up his voice truly is. And of course, there's that set piece right before the boss fight, or should I say boss fight, where there's a chase sequence where the camera shifts from inside his mouth and you can just see drool dripping down his fangs and he's just chasing after you, and it's just creepy. You got the music playing in the background. As a kid, this was terrifying. This was like playing a Crash Bandicoot chase sequence, but times 11. Hated this as a kid, still hate this now. In fact, let's move on before he chomps down on us. Super Mario 63+1 is a classic game that needs no introduction. No, for real, it doesn't need an introduction. Do you see how many videos come out for this game in a single day? May I say, going backwards by playing the DS version first before playing the N64 version, it was kind of jarring seeing a lot of the designs that I'm sort of used to with a lot of the more modern designs that the DS remake had, going to what they originally looked like in their first jump to 3D. Not that they look bad, but some of the designs rank from being unintentionally funny, such as Bowser looking like a stuffed doll, to being very uncanny. Which leads us to our next character on our list, which is Unagi the Eel, aka the Eel. You encounter this enemy in the course Jolly Roger Bay, in which you are tasked to swim at the bottom of the bay, and that's where you see this little creepy dude.
What the heck is that?
Everything about this eel just looks really off-putting. He has these faded green eyes that just look completely soulless. Of course, we can't forget about the teeth. I feel like that's a running theme here. And even just how his dark gradient maroon colors just contrast with Mario's bright reds and blues. And then what did Nintendo expect you to do? Well, they gave you 2 stars in which you have to lure him out of his little spot, which means having him lash out and take a bite at you. Like, Nintendo, why? What were you thinking? I don't want to be anywhere near this thing, and you have 2 stars, which required me to literally swim right in front of his face. I really hope that cake that Peach promised Mario is good, and is worth the therapy that he'll need after that. Let's look at something a little bit more recent. This is A Hat in Time, developed by Gears for Breakfast and released on October 5th, 2017. A Hat in Time is a cutest 3D platformer where you play as the cutest hat kid as you travel to different worlds collecting timepieces, which is this game's version of Power Stars and Jiggies. With a premise like that, it's easy to think this game would be suitable for little kids. And then you realize this game is rated T for teen. Surely the ESRB's gotta be out of their mind. Like, how can a game like this possibly be anything higher than an E10? Well, there's probably a few reasons why, but the one that we're gonna look at is, of course, Vanessa's manner. Halfway through the game, we reach a world called Subcon Forest, home to this lovable scamp. When you first arrive to the forest, there's nothing seemingly wrong with it. I mean, you just have nooses that want to hug your neck.
No, I haven't seen a good solid neck like yours for a long time.
You got fire spirits obsessed with death, headless statues that want your head. Oh, and that lovable scamp that we bumped into earlier, yeah, we signed our soul to him. But hey, I've seen far weirder things downtown. This ain't nothing. After you do a few tasks for this guy, you eventually reach Act 4, where you're tasked with exploring this manor. It's once you get to this manor that this game turns into a Resident Evil light. The camera shifts from a third-person view to fixed angles. The music is all foreboding and mysterious, kind of reminiscent to the save room, again, from Resident Evil. You're even collecting keys to open up locked doors. So you open up your first door, you go up the stairs, and that's when you see...
Why are you hiding? Why are you hiding?
I remember when I got to this point the first time, I was terrified. I legitimately jumped in my seat. There's something about when you're playing a horror game, you know what to expect. You can expect jump scares, you can expect haunting atmosphere. You know that going into that. It's different when you're playing a game that starts like this to suddenly this. Okay, just grab the okay, go. It just takes you off guard. You're just not mentally prepared for something like this. And boy, Vanessa's manner scared me senseless. And those are 3 non-horror games that totally scared me. Now, definitely not a complete list. In fact, the games I did cover, there was definitely a lot more that I could have talked about. But I'd like to hear from you. What are some non-horror games that totally scared you? Let me know down below. If you're looking for a church to be a part of, I'm part of a non-denominational church. Down in the description below will be a link to our church locator so you can find one of our churches near you. If studying the Bible is something that sounds interesting to you, hop into the Discord and we can set up something through that. And also just want to let you know that I do stream occasionally on YouTube and Twitch, so catch me live. Now, if you excuse me, doing this topic has unlocked some deep-seated childhood fears of mine, so I'm gonna see a therapist. And that's them right now, so see you guys. Thanks for seeing me in.
My pleasure. So, tell me when this fear first started.
Well, I guess it started when I first saw the read that's from A Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Oh, well, this'll be an awkward session.
How so?
Maybe you should put on your glasses. Seriously, another one? I guess I have to give out another refund.